Hello and welcome back to The Basements for Stars. I'm your host, V. Paul Jambazian. I took some time off since the last episode, been focusing on work projects and catching up with things around the house. So between that, the little ones, minor health-related hiccups, it was better I step away, just for a short bit. But I'm back with my final conversation with Dave Narcizo. We last left things off with Bernard George joining the band, and the recording of their live album, The Curse. In this final installment of my talk with Dave, we discussed the recordings of Riverside, Limbo, and Throwing Muses' reunion album that I like to call Uses. We also talk about Kristin's writing process, album art, Dave's solo project, Lakuna, which is also the namesake of his and his wife's design company, Tricky, Massive Attack, Dave's future with Throwing Muses, and a whole lot more. One last time, here's my conversation with Dave Narcizo. Let's see, we left off talking about The Curse.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I realized maybe it was partly my doing. We talked more than we should have about Real Ramona. But then I realized that it was the 35th anniversary, like last week or
no
2
kidding.
weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So maybe there was a reason. So yeah, I'm not sure if it was on anyone else's radar, but it was the 35th anniversary. And I think Limbo turns 30 this year.
It's crazy.
Things to consider.
Yeah.
So there was a reason we talked about Real Ramona at length.
It's a pretty significant change right there, too. It feels like the end of one chapter and the beginning of another one. Weird to think that the chapter that came out after it is longer.
Right.
I think of it that way, but it actually is.
That is the fact, yeah.
Tanya pointed out that out to me once because we were talking about, Tanya was saying, we were talking about something and then she said, well, I mean, the lineup you guys have now is longer than when I was in the band. And I was like, oh, I never really thought about that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I think as my life, I was starting to do other things, like the business was starting somewhere around. And that Curse show was kind of Bernie's trial by fire, kind of. Because he had just joined and Ivo was like, I want to record you guys right now. And so we had to play a bunch of stuff he didn't know. He had to learn it all, for that show. I
almost feel like if that album had a remix on it or a remaster, it would sound better. The Curse, the live album.
Yeah. That room was weird. Room was really weird. It was
because the performances are good.
We had gone on that tour at the beginning of that tour because we did that at the end of a tour. But at the beginning, when we were in London for something else, I think we might have done 2 London shows maybe on that tour at the beginning and the end of that European tour. But we went to see a show there.
Okay.
And we were like, sounds a bit weird. And then I remember sound checking. It was just like, it was really rough. So I think that maybe contributed to it too. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, I like the performances on it.
Yeah.
Especially the reworking into a trio context sounds really cool. But again, it's more like you said, maybe it's the room, maybe it's the mix. I don't know. Yeah.
Yep.
We talked about Fort Apache, especially on the first episode with you quite a bit. Did you guys ever obviously you crossed paths, but do anything with Morphine back in the day?
Tanya did.
Okay.
Because I think I mentioned this before,
because they were my other favorite band from that era, from that region.
Yeah. I lived in Boston for about a little under 3 years and then left, but Tanya stayed.
That's right. Yeah.
And she got to know all those bands. And I know she did some stuff with Mark.
Right.
And I think he's even on.
Yes, he is.
One of the solo records I did with Tanya.
Yep. But not the first, the second one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because for me, they were the other band, we'll broadly say New England, that was doing something different like you guys.
Did you ever listen to the Five?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't. I know I've heard the name, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got very friendly with them, and they weren't doing what everybody else was doing. A lot of the kind of sort of garage rock. They were a little bit more birthday party.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they were great. And I think Reed Paley, who was the singer and songwriter, or I don't know how their songwriting went, but he was the songwriter. But he still does stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna. investigate that further. And then I believe, because I find this stuff interesting, when you were all in LA, you had crossed paths with Jane's Addiction a bit, right?
So when we were recording Real Ramona, they were recording Ritual, and the Pixies were recording Bossa Nova. The three of us were recording in LA at the time. 3
seminal records centralized in one geographic location.
And Gil was recording Bossa Nova. Gil Martin. So I remember them coming to, we were staying in these Oakwood corporate apartments in Burbank. I remember them coming over with Gil and playing us stuff. They had just recorded for that. And then I remember Dennis had a connection to wherever Jane's Addiction was. And I remember driving around LA with him, and we pulled over and he put 3 days on that they just finished.
Yes.
Which is freaking phenomenal. Yeah. And they had the same booking agent. We crossed paths a few times with them. I don't know if we ever played with them, but we did end up kind of mixing with them socially a few times and kind of running into them.
Yeah.
And I think our booking agent had a party for us, them, and Wonder Stuff.
Wonder Stuff, right. Yeah. Because in a weird way, I feel like they were, especially in the early days, Jane's kind of was on the same wavelength as you guys, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, were they on the same label? Because I feel like Billy, our manager, knew them and knew a lot about them. He used to work at Sire. So I was like, I don't know if maybe they were on Sire, or I don't know. I'm not sure what label they were on.
Warner, I think. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to touch on those because I, again, find that stuff interesting.
Yeah. And those, it was kind of a neat, it was a kind of fun time when all those records were being recorded.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So now, jumping back, the curse was just, like you said, trial by fire, feet to the fire, let's get this together type thing. But other than that, it was a seamless thing, just coming together, the three of you, as the new incarnation.
I mean, a lot of that testament really goes to Bernie.
Yeah.
He's an amazing bass player, and just he picked it all up. He had been, on the road with us for years before then, doing backline. So, he knew the stuff, but still, the fact that he was able to play them, he got right in there, and it really just felt like, it felt seamless.
So how soon did you all go in to do university? Because university is 1995.
Okay, so 90. So then, so after Red Heaven, Bernie toured Red Heaven.
That was like 3 years prior or 2 years prior.
2 years, I think. Because I think we finished the Real Ramona tour in 92 and probably recorded Red Heaven in 93.
Yeah.
And so he toured that. And my guess is somewhere shortly after that, we did University at Kingsway in New Orleans.
Another, for me, significant Throwing Muses album.
Yeah, that felt like, Red Heaven feels like a transition moment. Yeah. And then I feel like University was sort of where we settled into what we were.
Right. And that was, you produced that album, right? Yeah, that was all.
No. So, yes and no. We started with Phil Brown, and it was a long recording session, once again. And we were at Kingsway in New Orleans, and it was split in two. We were down there for a chunk of time, and then we took a break. It was maybe around the holidays or something.
Okay.
And we came back and finished it, but he didn't come back. Yeah, it was a strange experience. He has a chapter about it, and he wrote a book, and a friend of mine had read it and said, oh yeah, there's a chapter about that experience, because it just, there was a lot of tension happened, because he trying to figure out how to best characterize it. I know that the real tense arguments or incidents where he wanted our undivided attention. And Kristin, from the very, very first time we ever toured, she had a baby.
Right.
When we were 19, she had her first son. So we always were traveling with her kid, her husband, a nanny. And so on that recording session, she was there with, her husband, who was our manager.
Right.
A nanny, 2 or 3 kids. And, Kingsway is a house.
Yes.
So the kids would be upstairs, and it's all open. Like the desk was basically, it was an old socialite's house.
Like manor, basically, right?
Yeah. So you walked in, like you didn't use the front door. They had that kind of blocked off. But you walked into the front door, you walk into this grand foyer with this beautiful, huge staircase. The desk was right there at the bottom of the stairs. So it was all open. And then there was like a billiards room and a little sort of sunroom off of that. And that's where the kit was set up. But anything that happened upstairs, if somebody slammed a door or anything like that, like you could hear stuff that was going on. So there were a couple of incidents, the dog barking or people slamming doors, and he kind of lost his shit a couple times about it.
No.
And then, but he himself, he would disappear like days. He would just be in his room, and we were like just kind of hanging out, waiting for something to happen. And it was a strange experience. And
just not doing anything, just in there?
Yeah. I don't really know what the deal was, but he and Billy were very much, there was a major clash there. And then that happened, and the whole experience, it just got fraught. And then and so then I don't remember how it all went down, but I know after we took the break, when we came back. So Trina Shoemaker had been engineering.
Yeah.
So when we came back, we just finished it with her.
Okay. Yeah.
And then when we went back, it was just us and her.
Yeah.
And he was, like as a producer, I enjoyed him as a producer. I thought if it wasn't for that, it's unfortunate because I think it was a good match. Just
musically.
Yeah. Yeah, he had really good input. There were good things. I remember sort of some one-on-ones that I had with him, just things that he would point out, stuff that I was doing. He had good suggestions. He had amazing stories about the Talk Talk records because he was, if you're familiar with those at all.
I know the albums, but
they got sued by their label for lack of artistic integrity or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And then they made these really trippy, soundscapey kind of, he had amazing stories about those. I would definitely look into that.
Oh, yeah. But once you were back, it was just wrapped up fine, I take it.
Yeah. Yep. It was good. And then, we just got along with Trina so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so it was like a perfect next step to do Limbo with her. And
she seems to be the X factor in the mix.
Yep. Yeah. She was doing she was becoming a producer.
I look back on her discography. I didn't realize she engineered Pearl Jam's Vitology.
Yep. And Sheryl
Crow, and even Buddy Guy, right? Really impressive discography.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she might have been involved in because it was Daniel Lanois' studio.
Right.
And she may have been involved in some of the stuff he was doing there.
Yeah.
She was great.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got along so well.
That's basically it, right? That's half the battle.
So that Pearl Jam stuff she did was done there.
Yes, yeah, because they did that album basically while they were on tour. So it's recorded at like 10 different studios and buses and backstages. That's probably my favorite of theirs. So how was touring University? I know you guys did a bunch of TV for that album.
Yeah, that was long.
Yeah.
That was really long. And that was our last record with Warner Brothers because we had gotten to a point with them where, it wasn't the greatest experience. They weren't super focused on us. And we had this thing happen where we had like a 6 or 7 record deal with them. But at every single record, they had to pick up the option. So it would be up to them whether they wanted to continue on. Which
is a good or bad thing, right?
Yeah. I remember learning around that time, like, you don't want a huge record deal. You want 4AD would just do 1 record deals with us and we would just do new ones every time. And then our lawyer contacted our manager and said, hey, they forgot to pick up your option. I know that they want you, but they forgot to pick up your option. So technically you guys can leave. And so we were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And then the Warner Brothers lawyer, who was a guy that we were very friendly with, pleaded with us and said, look, this is actually my fault. And so can you not do this? And I remember having a conversation with Howie Klein, who was the vice president of Sire.
Yeah.
I remember saying to him, I learned a lot about the music business during that time because I remember saying to him, why would you keep us? I don't understand why you would, why? And he said 2 things. He said, 1, we're a prestige label. We are supposed to be a label that's known for being artist oriented. And you guys are a good sort of integrity badge for us. And he said, we've been making money off of you since the start. Because of the way the business is structured, you would get, back in those days, you would get an advance from them. And then you would not see any of your record royalties until you recouped your advance.
Recouped the advance, yep.
So what they would do is when they would sell a record to the one stop, which is basically like the wholesaler, they'd make, I don't know what it was. I'll say it was they'd make $5 on it or something, or they'd make even less.
Yeah, a few dollars, yeah.
And what they would do is they would take a dime and put it towards your debt, and then they would keep the rest. So you'd stay in debt for a really long time, so you'd never collect record royalties.
Yeah.
And so they were able to actually earn money off of you before you
see anything,
start to see any money.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kristin sat down with Seymour Stein, who was the president of Sire, and he said to her, listen, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And if we don't, you're free to walk. And they didn't. So we left after that record. But it was a long tour. I just remember touring forever on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went back to Europe a bunch of times, Australia, New Zealand, and then the States. And I think we kind of did all of that like twice.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we did a lot.
I'm sure it further solidified the chemistry and cohesion that was already there as a band.
For sure. Yeah. And then I forget what the guy's name was, but the guy who was running Rykodisc, he knew from somewhere else, and I can't remember what his name was. And so that's where we went next. Yeah. So Limbo was done with them.
Yeah. And that's a slightly different record from University. It shares some through lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had to pick a favorite, that would be up there. That would be probably the one, although I do like the one that we did a couple of years later called Uses.
Yes, the Uses album, yeah.
It's actually not called anything.
No, I know, because it says Uses. I call it the Uses album too.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I love that Uses album. I was listening to it the other day working. I think I listened to it twice all the way through. Yeah. It's so cool because, again, it's a completely new thing, but then there's touches from the past also.
100%. And I feel like almost intentionally did that for some of the drumming, because it was over the years. You know, when I first started, I was so manic. And so there's lots of...
or a lot of...
crazy fast, and like crazy fast hi-hat parts and things like that. And on that record, I kind of took that approach a little bit again. But it was hard. And there's things like, there's parts on there. The kick drum is really low in some of those songs.
In the mix,
me because it bothers my ego, because I'm like, damn, that was so fucking hard. And you can't hear what's actually happening.
I understand. Yeah. For me, it's not enough that it distracts.
No. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. You're like, I wish that was more distinct.
Yeah. Like, I wish you could hear the part is like, you know, boom, ka-boom, 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 and instead you're just hearing like, tunka, tunka, tunka. You're missing out on the rest of the rhythm.
The nuances of the rhythms,
That's a Vaughn Oliver. Well, Vaughn Oliver.
Yeah, Vaughn Oliver. And Shinro Take did the artwork. Yep.
And I remember doing the artwork for Limbo. You would appreciate this, because Rykodisc, I don't know how familiar you are with them, but they had this thing back then, because this is back in the days of cassettes and CDs. And they had this signature thing. All of their records, the CD, the plastic on the CD and on the cassettes was tinted green.
That's right. It was like a bluish green.
Yeah. So we were like, I remember working on that album cover. And first of all, we were huge Love and Rockets fans, the comic book. So we reached out to Beto and said, would you be interested in doing some artwork for this? So he did a bunch of artwork. And then...
I love the drawings on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
So good.
So great. And then we were just like, okay, when we go to do the cover art, let's go for that green. Let's just lean into that green so that all of it makes sense. Like, it looks like we did it on purpose.
Works. Amazing.
Yeah. I love that cover art. He did a good job.
Yeah. So back in the studio with Trina for that one.
We were at Kingsway a lot. We did all our B-sides there. Yeah, we spent a lot of time there.
How was recording that one? I'm sure different from the other ones in the sense that it was just super easy, right?
The whole thing, that whole record, the way it came out, the whole process of recording it was, I feel like, we talked about this a little bit before, we were never naturally inclined toward record making.
You weren't like studio rats, right?
No. And I feel like that one was where we kind of went, okay, on a couple of levels. Also, just the process of being recorded. And again, this is something I'm sure you can relate to. It's like, you know, in the beginning, you play live, you're playing your songs, and then you go into the studio, and then somebody says, okay, rolling. And you're like, okay, here it is. The camera's on. And by the time we got to that record is when I fully learned, I'll just say for myself, I fully learned to let go of perfectionism and just,
I understand that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just be like, I'm just going to play this take. And you, because also the drums would usually be the first thing going down. So we would always play as a band, but the only tracks that were actually being kept. Sometimes Bernie, if he had a flawless take, they'd keep it.
They'd leave it, yeah.
For the most part, it was just the drum track. So that added that piece. If you make a really bad mistake, you got to stop. As opposed to bass and guitars, if there's a mistake, they'll be like, I will punch you in for that.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I remember that record as really starting to fully losing that camera shy feeling of like, rolling, but it's okay if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because over the years I've gone with a click, without a click, and
I can relate. Yeah.
I can say, if I'm allowed to say, like I got pretty good at playing with a click where I could even fall off it a little bit intentionally but never lose it.
I mean, you could swim around the beats as long as you're not completely out of time, for sure.
Yeah, but there's that weird thing with clicks where you're like, am I ahead? Am I behind? Am I ahead? Am I behind him? And I had learned at that point, I'd gotten past that where now because I think when I picture that record, it feels like that one was done with a click. And I don't think we ever really used a click after that again, unless it was something where we needed it just to know when.
As a reference points. Yeah, for sure.
Come in and stuff like that.
Yeah, I prefer a click now. Yeah, especially if I'm tasked with doing overdubs later. I'd rather have everything gridded out to make my life easier.
Yeah, I kind of love that feeling. I kind of love that experience too when you're playing with a click and you're tracking and you're going along and the click just adds this kind of thing that makes it feel like often, or it can sometimes it's hard to like grasp the feel, and then you go into the control room and listen to it back without the click and you're like, I always love that. It always sounded so much better when you went into the control room.
Sure.
You didn't have this like
going
the whole time.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, I mentioned this before. I love the sounds on Limbo, especially the low end sounds. And I remember one time I was listening to Limbo and then I was like, oh, this reminds me, the color of it, the shape of it. It reminds me of Sky Motel a bit. And then
interesting.
I was like, that makes sense because Trina Shoemaker did Sky Motel too. So
yeah, she was awesome.
How was touring that, doing press for that album?
I mean, great. I mean, like I said, I love that record. Sometimes by that point, there might have been things that were harder to play live. But that record, there was nothing on that record that didn't work really well live.
Yeah. It's the most band sounding. Yeah. It sounds like a band.
That's what clicked, is that I feel like we figured out how to make a record that sounded like us, but had some production value to it.
Of course, yeah.
Like it wasn't just Muses is very much like a live sounding record. Yeah. Whereas that one, it sounds like us. It sounds very much like we would sound live, but it has this level of production to it.
Sure.
That I feel like a really great balance of those.
Yeah. And Kristin was already doing solo albums.
I mean, the Hips and Makers,
yeah.
Came out like, I don't know, was that after Real Ramona, I guess? Yeah, it had been. Sky Motel was the third one?
I have to look back. There's Hips and Makers.
She did the Hips and Makers here with Steve Rizzo.
Yeah, who works with her now pretty much exclusively, right? Yeah.
Lenny Kaye produced it, and it was done at Stable Sound with Steve. And then we just ended up working with Steve pretty much for everything after that.
Yeah. How did you all make the decision to sort of take a break post Limbo, obviously?
I think, she must have been touring. Well, I toured Sky Motel with her.
Right, and you played on it. Yeah.
And then Tom Gorman from Belly.
Yeah.
So her band was her, obviously, me, Bernie, Tom, and I can't remember if Robert Rust was on that. I think Robert Rust was on that too. He was a friend of ours who played
keys
with us. Yeah, sure, he was on that tour as well.
Okay.
He must have been.
Yeah.
And so there was that, and then,
so there was some overlapping happening.
Yeah, and then it was like, I think I went out on the road with Joe Henry around that time.
Okay.
I didn't record with him, but he put out a record called Trampoline.
Mm-hmm, I remember. Yep.
I toured that with him. And then my business started, and we weren't in that same situation. The Right Codis deal was like a one record. And then she wrote her book, I think.
Her first book, yeah.
Possibly, something like that.
I think so. I'll double check.
Or she wrote, or she did another solo record that involved it. She did it with Penguin.
Okay.
So there was just a lot of, like, she was busy doing a lot of that stuff. And then, I was getting my business going.
Yeah.
I were getting the business going.
Yes.
Then we just kind of melted into this, okay, we'll just do another one whenever she has songs for it. And so the next one would have been, then we did Anthology.
Yeah.
4AD put that one out. And then I think we did Purgatory Paradise.
But in that time, everyone kept busy with all their projects.
Yeah.
And there's 50-foot wave. Yeah, there's that too.
She was doing that, and Bernie was doing that with her, and Rob. She's always busy. She's always recording. Always. I can't keep track of it these days.
But you've here and there done the artwork for the albums. I mean, not everyone, but
yeah. So when we first got signed to 4AD, they were in this tiny, tiny space in Wandsworth, and it was at one room, and Ivo, Vaughn Oliver, and Chris sat in the window.
Chris Big.
Yep. And I remember didn't really know that was an interest of mine, but I was really intrigued by what they were doing. So I would always kind of be looking over their shoulders. This is pre-computers.
Sure. Probably scissors and paper and
separations,
photos and
I'm glad I missed that era. So I kind of got in there, and then combined with the fact that the work that Vaughn was doing at that time didn't feel like us. It felt a little too ethereal, and it felt like, being Americans, we were afraid of pretension, and because the music was something that people might go, that's weird.
Yeah.
We wanted people to know that we were just regular people. We were like, this is approachable. This is what we do, but it's not
artsy or...
Yeah. So very, very, very early on.
Yeah.
I remember having a very heated conversation with Vaughn because I wanted our picture to be on the cover. And he was like, absolutely not. I never do that. And I said, we need people to know that we're just, and I remember him getting all red-faced and like, I know what I'm doing here. And so it created this situation where we were always struggling with the artwork. And I absolutely and unequivocally regret it now. I wish that we had just said, just do what you want.
Just do it, yeah.
And because I feel like when you look at our record covers, they're all a bit like, they're just all over the place. There's no consistency to them. They're downright, like I did Hunk Papa, and I just think it's not a good album cover. And
I like the reissue cover better than the original. The typography is a little different. It's placed a little differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that, but but it's like, and you'll know what I'm saying here. Like, it's just, when you just seeing things you did a long, long time ago, you can just see how I was like, that figure on the front, I made out of stamps, cut pieces of fruit, I think, and some like created that. But then I was like, here it is. I'm going to put it inside the frame, and I'm going to put the name up here. Like, it's so amateur. Like, it's just so, at that time, I didn't understand the bigger picture. It was just super obedient. And here's the subject, so I'll put that in the middle. And it's just very, No,
I get it. Yeah.
So I don't know if I ever did anything like that.
You did Real Ramona, right?
So yes, I did. Yeah, that's right. I did. That one I like.
That's iconic.
Yeah, I like that one. That picture, that's Kristen's grandmother.
I was going to ask,
And we came up with that name because I used to collect old postcards. And on the road, I would just go to thrift stores and vintage stores or whatever, and I would collect these old postcards. And one of the postcards I found was a picture of a Native American woman standing on the plains. And for some reason, the caption was The Real Ramona. I don't know why. I don't know what it meant. I don't know if I'll still have it anywhere. But that's where we got the name. And then originally we were going to try to use that image, and then Kristin had that image of her grandmother, and we were like, oh yeah, no, that's
it. That's so cool.
But on the back, I have like the back of some old postcards and inside. And yeah, that one came out. I liked the way that one came out. And then Limbo, obviously I didn't.
Yeah.
We just got Beto. I didn't have anything to do with that one. That was Rykodisc. And I love the way that I think they did an excellent job.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah.
Muses was Shinro and Vaughn.
Yeah. I love that one too.
And then Purgatory Paradise was me.
Yeah.
I liked the stuff that I did in the book and all.
In the book?
Whatever.
I love the cover.
Yeah.
I love it. It's the slash on the super textural background.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I like it. I definitely like it. I think that I didn't do Sun Racket. I think it's like anything. Like, I don't know if you have this problem, but I was just talking to a client about this the other day. When you're advising somebody and you're consulting and they're trying to make decisions on things, I am ultimately decisive, and I can say to them, this is going to work the best way, blah, blah. When it's my own stuff, indecision rules the day,
Oh, wow.
But I want to, but it could be this, but it could be that. And so Purgatory Paradise, I really like it, but I can feel when I look at it, my indecision, and I tried too hard, I think. But
just in the general layout of it, or the cover specifically, or?
Yeah, the cover.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad. I think I can't get away from it. I'm happy with the collage stuff that I did. I remember when the anthology came out and I did that cover, and I can't even picture what it looks like now.
I have to look it up now.
But I did that, and I remember Vaughn, I did all this. I was like, okay, it's an anthology. I could refer to our history, and I'm like, you know what? Remember what Vaughn Oliver told you? Like, no, you don't have to do that. So I had this whole cover built out. And then he came to do a residency at RISD, and he was doing a talk, and I went to see him, and we went to dinner afterwards. And I said, Vaughn, you're going to be so proud of me. I said, I'm doing this anthology cover, and I didn't use a single picture of the band. And he was like, no. He's like, no, it's about the history of it. No, so I had to scrap everything that I did. I mean, I say I had to. I valued his opinion hugely. And I was like, okay. So then what I did is I just went through boxes in my basement, and I got all kinds of things like ticket stubs and lanyards and weird like hotel keys and all set lists and all these things from like the tours over the years. Pretty much all those collages in the book are ephemera from our touring.
From the past. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great advice from him. And I think that part I'm really happy with. The cover, Purgatory Paradise, is an intersection in Middletown, which is like right down the road from us. And there's a Purgatory Chasm is basically off of what they call Second Beach. But there's a street sign because it's Paradise Ave is one of the streets and Purgatory is the other. And so there's a street sign that says Purgatory Paradise. I had gotten a really old photograph of Purgatory Chasm on the island here. And that's what that is on the front. But then I treated it with all kinds of stuff. So it becomes more of a texture.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm glad you like it.
It's one of my favorite from the ones you've done, for sure.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You had already started your business when you're still on tour. And how did that grow into a thriving, independent boutique firm?
So my wife her brother is a lighting production designer, I guess as big a scale as you could possibly be. Like he did Lady Gaga's halftime show, Beyonce's halftime show, Paul McCartney's halftime show. His clients are like The Weeknd and Ariana Grande. And at that time, back in the early 90s, he was doing, The Cure was one of his longest. He started with Prince, but The Cure was one of his longest running projects. And he was also doing a lot of VMAs.
Okay.
And so my wife was doing these collages, actual 3D collages. And he said, I want to use those for the next MTV Video Awards. So she was creating basically projection art for him. And then and then a Cure tour was happening. And so she did work for the Cure and for that tour. And when it happened, he said, get yourself a Mac and get Photoshop. So she did that for all that artwork. And then actually I have a side story about this that I think you'd appreciate. But so we had this in the house, and she's had businesses since she was like 20 years old. She's much more business oriented than I am. And she was like, we're going to start a business. We're going to be a graphic design company. We've got the tools now. Let's just do it. So she was really the one that pushed to do this. And then our friend at the time had just moved back from New York and was opening a restaurant. And she was like, yeah, you guys can do all my stuff. And then we started working with nonprofits and, blossomed from there. Yeah. Back to her working on projection art. Her brother was doing a 9 Inch Nails tour. And David Carson had done all the artwork for their...
Yes.
And then...
I just saw them, 9 Inch Nails.
On the way?
Yeah, here in New Jersey, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So he contacted us and said, look, we got all the artwork from David Carson, and it doesn't work as projection art. Because what he had done is he did a whole series of photographs that he took from inside his car. So they're just like through the windshield on a rainy day, and you can see a kind of distorted street light and a bunch of gray, and then maybe a little bit of something at the bottom. And he said the problem is when we project that 80 feet tall and however wide, you just see the gray.
Yeah.
Because the band obscures anything that's in the lower part of the image. So he sent us all his artwork, and he's like, can you just mess with this and get it so that we have things that you can see? And we were just like, we can't touch this. This is David Carson. I can't even remember what we did, but I think we just added some texture to like the slides where basically the center of the slide had nothing in it except just...
Wherever there was like kind of negative space.
Yeah, or just nothing. Yeah. It would be like a gray sky.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful photographs. Be like a gray sky, and there'd be something way up in the corner like a light leak. Okay. And then maybe you could see the headlights of a car in the bottom eighth. But then in the middle was just like a gray, you'd see some water, like it was blurred. And that was it. They were beautiful, but there was nothing there.
Yeah.
So we had to fill in.
You might as well just be flashing a light at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really cool.
It's funny. So anyways, so that, and then our business just blossomed. And then I would say in the last 10 years, it's become really primarily product packaging.
A lot of food, a lot of beverage.
A lot of beverages.
Yeah. And you're in your own space now.
We worked out of our house for 13 years.
Okay.
And then, we've been in business for 25.
Right.
I think 25, 26. And, but we've been in an office for the last 12 years.
Okay.
14 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Which wasn't our intention. We were visiting a friend in that building. He's like, there's a space open next door. And we were like, I really thought about that because we didn't want the overhead.
Yeah.
It ended up being affordable, and it made a huge difference because especially being married, and it was just nice to be able to have that separation of like, okay, we're leaving the office and coming home.
Mentally, it's just, I totally get it. Did you do your solo record around that time? 98?
I did it in 1999. So
it was a little later.
Yeah, it was. I don't know where that falls in all those records.
Yeah,
but I know my business had started and was born in 98, and it was things were shifting.
Yeah,
and that was just I had the first Tricky record blew my mind, and we played Reading with him, and I can't remember if that was with the Muses or if it was with Tanya, and he was so good.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to make a record. I want to do a record that's record samples. And originally I was like, I don't want to do any drumming. I just want there to be record samples. And then that evolved to where by the time we got toward the end, I was like, it's really missing something. So then I went back at the end and tracked drums over all of it.
So cool. Yeah. And then had everyone do their thing on it.
Yeah. So Kristin played guitar on one track. Bernie played on a track. The guy that I made the record with, Frank Gardner, was the guy way, way, way back when I was talking about how I started with the Muses in high school.
Yeah.
And Kristin called me and she said, I booked a demo session for tomorrow and our drummer just quit. That demo session with Frank Gardner.
Was Frank Gardner, yes.
And then he had a studio here in Newport. And he had also come on the road and done front of house for us.
Sound.
And so that I just said, hey, would you be willing to do this too? So he plays bass. He played bass on most of it. Tom Gorman played on some of it. Bernie, Kristin, and then the vocals are all sampled record. Yeah, which are only a couple of tracks. There's really only like vocals on a few tracks. One of them was a record that the wife of the ambassador to Thailand, I think, had made a record where she just had street sounds recorded. And one of them was a group of kids walking to school and they were all singing. And so we took that and just chopped it up, put it back together, and created like whatever that vocal is.
Yeah, because we talked a while back. I really got into all the Bristol groups.
Me too.
In the late 90s, early 2000s. Mainly because I had cooler cousins in the UK. Obviously, Portishead was all over the place in the 90s stateside here. I maybe came across Massive Attack and Tricky, but I didn't really knew who they were.
Yeah.
But then one summer I was in London and my cousins, like, they were all into the electronica and rave scene and all that. But also super into punk rock because, we weren't that sophisticated, at least at the time. So he played me Blue Lines, he played me Mezzanine, played me Protection, he played me, I forgot which trick album, it might have been Nearly God, I don't remember. It was just like, well, how have I not heard any of this? It was mind-blowing, yeah.
Yeah. Same here. Like we would learn about a lot of stuff when we would go over there to tour, and usually it was 4AD, and they would be like, oh, have you heard this? Have you heard that? Mm-hmm. And one year, because I remember going over there when the first Stone Roses record had come out, and they were all like, oh my gosh, this is groundbreaking. And then I remember going over there and it was just Massive Attack. And by that point, 4AD had gotten big. And so it used to be we'd go over, and Colleen Maloney, who was the publicist, just dear friend of ours. And so we would spend our time hanging out with her, and that's how we would learn about a lot of stuff. But then there were all these other people that started working there and who were like DJing on the side, and had this guy, Tony Morley, who had a label called Leaf, I think. Mm-hmm. And he was the one, I think, that told me about Massive Attack. And then we happened to be there when they played their first show. And so we got to go see them play.
Unbelievable.
First show. And then it was after that the Tricky record came out.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh man. Because the thing that I loved about that, and his style in particular, was that it had that trip hop thing, always had a grunge. And I don't mean that in terms of the grunge music.
No.
Like a
grainy textural.
A good texture to it. And a lot of the other electronic stuff was so clean.
Yeah.
That was what really impressed me. And I'll say today too, I don't know all his stuff that he's been doing since then really well, but whenever I listen to it, and the Tricky songs come up all the time when I'm working on my playlist throughout all the years.
Throughout the eras, yeah.
So freaking consistent. Other really recent stuff, like I'll hear it and I'll just be like, this is still amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that clearly had an impression on you when it came time to do your stuff.
Totally.
I thought maybe you super got into sampling and drum machines and...
No, I couldn't. I played music with my friend Craig, and I had a few false starts of trying to do another Lakuna record with my friends. And, the method that Frank and I had, I basically came in with a stack of records, and I had already had the timestamps of the pieces I wanted to sample. He would sample them. He'd loop them for me. I don't play like a melodic instrument, but I would sit with a keyboard and go, okay, that note goes, that note goes, that note goes. And I would put tape on the keys that went, and then just randomly play them, and melodies would happen. So when I tried again, like, I'll see, but maybe I'll do another one. And I tried with my friends. I didn't really know how to approach it. And then my friend Craig had a drum machine, and I just I never put a solid amount of effort into it, but I just don't have the instincts for that. I just can't play drums like that.
But yeah, I think for me, there's some kind of barrier. I mean, I've used drum machines, but I can't say I'm like a guru at it. I think there's some kind of barrier when I'm with an MPC or something. I'd much rather be in front of a DAW and just manually place the sounds.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how I do a lot of my sort of collage-y stuff.
If I could get over that learning curve, I think I would enjoy it. But the few times I tried, I was like, I was just like, wait, where is I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I think that then I went into this like, oh, let's try it again. And this time I'm just going to play drums. And it just never clicked.
I see.
I think if I were to ever do another one, I'd probably just get back together with Frank and just say, let's just do it the way we did it before.
I kind of think that's the better way anyway. Yeah.
I got to figure out, and this is just a side note.
Yeah, sure.
I got to figure out, I can't figure out, I might own it at this point. I don't know. I have to, it's one of the, last time I was in England, I got together with Colleen Maloney, who I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. She was like, yeah, you should contact them. Because someone had contacted me about 3 or 4 years ago, or it was during COVID, and said, I love this record. I have this really small label. And I was wondering if you'd be into me doing a vinyl reissue.
Oh, wow.
Remaster it. And we did.
With new cover art for it.
And then he finished it. The records, he was in Seattle. The records arrived. And then he disappeared to South America. And I have no idea where those records are. I can't contact him. I think there are people who ordered them and never got them. I bought two and they never arrived. So
that's
weird.
Strange.
So I've thought about, in fact, it's kind of a soft goal for this year about talking to 4ED and see if I can get it back, but also just printing my own, just issuing like a, a
proper reissue.
Yeah. Like not, like a really small amount.
Yeah.
I think at this point, probably too late for Record Store Day, but.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's already come upon us.
What is that? April?
Yeah.
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 But anyway, so yeah, I think I might do something. There were two tracks that didn't make it on the record, and those are on this new vinyl.
Yeah.
And so I would include those, and and like I said, if I were to do any more, then probably I would just say to Frank, let's just do it the way we did it before. Maybe a lot more live drumming, I think I would do, and just chop it up and play with it.
Yeah. I'd be excited for that.
Yeah, it would be fun. Just like, finding the time. But,
yeah, for sure. But the reunion happens at some point in Throwing Muses.
Yes.
And was it 2000?
Which one? The one Tanya played with us?
Yes, yeah. The gut pageant.
Gut pageants. Yeah.
Well, that was like your reunion, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Well, we decided at that point we were starting to kind of reinvent how we did things. And so we thought, you know what, why don't we just go do a residency for a weekend? We only ended up doing two of them. I think we did one in Boston, one in San Francisco. And that was fun. I loved the idea of it, and they were fun. Like Kristin would play on the Friday night, and they were both on weekends. So she'd play on Friday night, and then on Saturday we would have an open sound check, and we'd do things like people could come up and sing, and we'd play so other people could get up and that came, and then we'd play that night. And then there was something else there was like a brunch on Sunday. So you could either just go to the show or you could buy a ticket for the whole thing.
Yeah.
They were fun. I liked that idea.
Kicking myself for not going to it because for some reason I could have just made the drive up to Boston, but we did go see the Blake Babies reunion months prior. Yeah. It's funny because they had theirs in 2000 also.
Yeah.
But after it happened, it was a lot of FOMO seeing the footage. It was like a who's who in the crowd because like everyone came out to it, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun kind of reunion. Yeah, it's funny. I never thought of it as a reunion, but yeah, it was. Was Tanya involved?
She did her songs.
Yeah.
She was definitely there.
Yeah.
From the footage I've seen. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
You guys did Two-Step, Honey Chain.
Yep.
Not Too Soon.
Counting Backwards. I'm sure her other stuff too. Yeah.
That's kind of like what we did on the Purgatory Paradise tour.
Yeah, yeah.
So she would open and then we would play and then she'd come on for the encore and we'd play like 6 Muses songs.
But how did that happen? Was there some kind of conversation around that? Or was it just super organic?
I think that had to do with us just kind of figuring out, because we had been in such a traditional, make a record, tour it, take 3 months off, record another one, tour it. And I think at that point, without being on Warner Brothers and without being on a label, we realized we can kind of just do this however we want. And we were really at that point just doing kind of festivals and one-off. I think we had done like some one-off dates and realized, well, this is kind of nice. Like you just go and it's like a nice pace and you can just play your show. And so then I think it came out of that. And Gut Pageant is a Kristin solo song. So that's where the idea came from. And so I think it just came out of redefining how we operate as a band.
Yeah, because, us as fans, we were super excited to see all of you together.
It's fun.
And then I guess the Uses album, it grew out of that.
At that point, then that's where we just sort of got into Kristin being like, I've got songs.
Yeah.
Are you available?
Right.
And so basically that's kind of what Purgatory Paradise was. That's what Uses was. And that's what Sun Racket was just saying like, I've got songs. Do You Got Time? And then, all three of those records were done so fast. Like,
yeah, you had mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, like recorded over a weekend. I mean, again, and I think I mentioned this earlier. I mean, that really was a little bit of a part of why I stepped away, because I just felt like I wasn't satisfied, or I don't know what the word is, participating when I couldn't give my whole self to it.
I see.
It was just, I found that too frustrating.
I feel you.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah. So like you said, it was just basically from that point on, it was like, if Kristin had songs, you were in the studio.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much how it went until this last one. And when she came around, this last one was
Moonlight Concessions.
Yeah, which is one. So it's layered. One of them is that, like, I don't like that. I don't want to be involved if I can't really devote a lot of time to it.
Mm-hmm.
And also my drumming, I felt like I had just gotten to a place where I was just repeating myself and falling back on things I knew. I remember when I was younger, that feeling where you'd have that instinctive answer.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, most of the time it was something that was beyond me. So you'd be reaching for it, and you'd be reaching for this part, and you'd work really hard, and then you'd get it.
Sure.
And then I thought, now I just kind of fall back on the things I know.
Yeah.
And I don't know I miss that beginner's mind, and I don't know how to get it back. And it's one of the things about Kristin that I've always found impressive, is that her consistency with how she doesn't fall back on, I don't know, she seems to have a way to tap into that headless approach to things that she can always consistently tap into.
Yeah. She's always very forward vision too.
Yeah.
From what I can gather.
Yeah.
You know her obviously.
No, it's
anyone.
true. It's totally true. My head just took over.
Yeah.
And I found that I just was all I was ideas, not that thing where you're aware of what you're doing, but you're not thinking about it or judging it or anything. It's like that perfect combo of instinct, common sense, and not too much thought. And I feel like I just became a drummer that was just about ideas and redoing things. And that's kind of the way I feel right now. And I've been hoping that to walk away from it for a while will be the way to kind of get it back. So I just played a few weeks ago for a private party, and it's still not there. Not because I hadn't played in a while too. I was not out of shape, but like anything that was fast, I was tense.
I understand that. Yeah.
So I was like, I think what I might do is when I can get my kit set back up, I might just do something I did only once in my life years and years ago. I've been collecting clips that I find on Instagram and just go, I'm just going to teach myself that.
And focus on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And teach myself these grooves that like I would never do.
Yeah.
To just get my brain to go, this is a whole other way for your body to react.
That sounds like a good exercise. It would be.
Yeah.
That was the main sort of deciding factor for you.
Yeah. And work, like
Yeah. I mean,
my business is like, it's weird. Like I did the anthology tour. We had Wi-Fi in the van, and it worked the whole time, and it was fine. But our business wasn't as busy back then. So that's the other thing, is that I was like, I don't know if I could go on tour.
Sure.
I wouldn't be able to leave.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And with Bernard, I mean, he lives on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Right.
He and I came to this conclusion at the same time.
Okay.
And then we both had conversations about it.
Yeah.
And then it was after we did a festival with The Cure and the Pixies and Mogwai, and we did a couple of shows around it. That was when he and I were both agreed. We were like, okay, this is it. We're done after this. And I never say never, but I just right now know.
Yeah. Well, I have the feeling of once a muse is always a muse, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Like that's the way we felt back, like what we were just talking about, where the gut pageants and things like that.
Yeah.
We suddenly were like, there's no point in a band like us breaking up.
Right.
Like,
right.
no point, because maybe nothing happens for 10 years, but there's no like, we'll never play again.
Yeah. And it's a very unique thing in that everyone that's been in the band has been like family to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Kristin's baby. I mean, the supporting cast has always been in each other's lives.
Yeah. I feel like it's interesting because we were such a band. I mean, we really were like a band, but Kristin and I have had conversations for years about, and I would say post like Limbo, we would have conversations about how Throwing Muses can really be whatever she wants it to be, you know? And that's why this was a really difficult decision for me to make, because she and I have always been the thread through all of it.
Yeah.
It was a really, really difficult decision for me to make, and I think it was difficult for her as well. But because we'd had all these conversations so many times about it isn't defined by this, it's like, you can make it whatever you want. And that's why, like, what she's doing now, I think I probably would have been a little bit, I don't think it would be FOMO, because I definitely am satiated when it comes to like touring. I was joking with Fred Abong when I saw the dates for that Moonlight Concessions tour, and I was like, fuck no, not interested. Like, you couldn't pay me enough to do that. Like, no. But I maybe, if it was a different lineup, would be kind of like, I might have some sort of difficult relationship with it. But the fact that, I mean, obviously Fred, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that she's playing with Dylan, her son, to
That's
me,
so cool.
I just love.
Yeah.
To me, feels like I get emotional about it. That's a great segue. I mean, he was a baby on our very first tour. You know?
You're like his uncle, basically.
Yeah. And it's like, I love that now he's playing with her. I just think that gives me a warm feeling when I see them out there.
You know, I don't see it playing out any other way. I mean, she was always going to be with people that were family to her.
Yeah.
Especially on the road.
I think there were some conversations. I was in England just to travel. Missy and I went there for our anniversary and met her booking agent, who I'd never met before, because he's only been booking her for the past few years.
Okay.
And at that time, there was still talk of he was finding her a drummer. And so they were building a band. But at the end of the day, I'm so happy with where it ended, where she ended up going. Because it feels like, in a trippy kind of way, Dylan's always been part of the Muses.
It was meant to be. It was providential, pun and no pun intended. Anything else you want to leave with? We covered a lot.
We did. Really good, because it's been nice to kind of remember and put it all in order. And yeah.
It was huge for me, because when I hatched the idea to do this podcast, you were like one of my top 5 people, for sure. The Throwing Muses albums and your drumming has had a big impact on me as an artist. So this is a treat for me.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. One of these days, we got to meet in person.
That was Dave Narcizo. So thankful and grateful for him for making time to discuss some insights on his musical background and Throwing Muses history. Give him and Lakuna a follow. I'll provide all links in the description and show notes. Also give Throwing Muses a follow too, and check out their last album, Moonlight Concessions and Moonlight Confessions. Catch them when they play live, because they're on tour now. The Basins for Stars is a Caspian Seal production. Intro and outro music by yours truly. Background music by Hits Lab. Follow the pod at your preferred streaming service. Hopefully I'll see you all very soon.